and offset even a little bit more. I want my pan here or here. You can do that with a digger. Get a hammer, weld a piece of steel on it so you can dig this up. And you want to make a hole no bigger than what your trap is. You don't want to dig all this out. You just want a cavity for that trap to set in. And when you're digging this hole, you want to think about a cereal bowl. Okay? That shape. Concave. So that the trap sits on the edges of it. You with me? Mm-hmm. Okay. 1.5 round jaw trap that you can buy in here, Kinseys, anywhere. It's sufficient to hold a coyote if it's beefed up a little bit. We do a lot of laminating, laminate the jaws, base plate the bases so the coyotes can't take them apart. For fox trapping, a 1.5 right out the box will hold them fine. We have caught as many coyotes, I think, in 1.5 as we have anything bigger. It's just an all-around good trap. If you're going for coyotes specific, and you have red foxes in your area, a 1 3/4 is not too big as long as the jaws are offset. If it's a straight jaw, 1 3/4, it's a little much for a fox. It's going to do some damage to that foot. It really is, that leg. So it depends on what you're trapping for. Most of the time we use a 1.5, and we'll earth anchor it down in there.
Our coyote catches, for the most part, are incidentals on our fox line where we trap. If we are trapping specifically for coyotes, we make sets with the bigger traps. I mean, if you are going for coyotes specific, it's a whole lot easier to catch a fox in a bigger trap than it is for a coyote in a smaller trap.
Right. When you're trapping upstate, you're trapping for bobcats and coyotes, then we're going to like the number 3s, and I'll explain that. I'll change this set to make it. We're making a fox set here, a dirt hole set for fox. When you have your trap set, you want that pan level with the jaws, okay? Nice and level. Okay, see how that thing sit there? Nice and level with the jaws. Everybody has their own way of doing this. There's no wrong way. But there is some things that you want. I would have that staked in there, my stake in the bottom. You want this in this hole as solid as what you could possibly get it. Get it in there, wiggle it around, do whatever you have to do to make sure that thing doesn't move. That is critical, okay? I usually have my dog facing the hole like that, in that position. Some guys put them this way, some guys put them this way. This is my particular way. I put mine just like so, and make sure that is in there good and solid. Take your fingers, touch these jaws, touch the lever. The reason for that, when that fox comes up here to get this bait out of the hole, and he accidentally steps on this jaw instead of this pan, and that thing wiggles, one of two things is going to happen. He's either going to dig that up because it moved under his foot, or he's going to get out of there, whoa, and be gone. Make sure that does not move. You want everything to feel the same the whole way around here. So he has no indication that that trap is there until it goes shut on his foot. Then it's too late. In conditions where you don't have freezing weather, if it's going to stay warm first couple weeks in the trapping season, you're not dealing with frozen ground, frozen conditions, the dirt that you dug out of this hole, the dirt you dug out of this hole can go back on top of that trap. When most of us are trapping, mid-November is when I recommend you wait to start till first good and prime, mid-November around here. You got good prime foxes to catch. We have some freezing weather. With cold nights, that ground with this moisture in is going to freeze solid as a rock. That trap ain't going to go off. I don't care if an elephant steps on it. Ain't going to happen. So we need some way to prevent that from freezing. Dirt that is bone dry. I collect barrels. We have a barrel that we fill up with dry dirt, bone dry dirt. It's tough to find right now. You're almost going to have to make it because of the way the weather's been. Take a tarp, lay it out on the driveway, on the stone driveway, macadam driveway, put dirt on there and keep raking it until it doesn't change color. When it stays the same color after you rake it, you know the moisture's gone. Okay? Bone dry dirt. When there's no moisture in that dirt, it will not freeze. Okay? That'll get you down to in the teens before you have any problem with bone dry dirt. The other thing most of us are going to is peat moss, and the same way with peat moss. Peat moss in a bale that you buy at Lowe's or Home Depot is not dry. You gotta lay that out on a tarp, and like I say, keep raking it till it doesn't change color so that it is bone dry.
It's also not sifted either.
Right,
You have to
yeah.
get the big lumps and stuff out of it too.
You're right. Sift that, put it in, we put it in these Ziploc bags. You can pour it right onto your set, right out of the Ziploc. Makes it real handy to do that, okay? Bone dry dirt, bone dry peat moss. The other thing that I do is I'll put a handful in the bottom of that trap bed, okay? I'm not going to use that because we're going,
Yep.
maybe I should demonstrate that.
Do it on your next set.
Okay. I'm putting a layer of peat moss in the bottom of this trap bed so that when all this ground freezes, this doesn't freeze fast to the ground. Okay? That gives me a buffer there. Put that trap back in. Nice and tight. I'll fill it up level full with peat moss. Okay. I'll take a little bit of this dry dirt and put over the top of this. Okay. Make it level. Now, just for added, I'm going to put a thin layer of this dirt. And I'm talking thin, just enough to cover up that dry stuff. Now, that is going to freeze. We know that. But it's thin enough that when he steps on it, it's going to break and that'll work underneath there. Okay? I'll take a little bit of this grass that is around this hole and kind of camouflage it in. Make sure you tear it up. You don't want too much on there because it'll clog the trap when it goes shut. Okay, just kind of blend that in a little bit. Now, the jury's out on this. Some guys use some small clods right on the outside of that trap to make it a place so that it kind of funnels that animal into that trap, okay? With a few dirt lumps, anything like that, to make sure he steps where you want him to step, okay? Lure, bait. In this, you could use curiosity lure. You can use gland lure and urine, although it's the wrong place for that. Any kind of food lure, bait, lure, anything like that. I use a Q-tip. Any of the lure that I use, whatever goes on that Q-tip is sufficient. You don't need half a bottle dumped down that hole. That much on a Q-tip, whatever goes in that bottle, that much is sufficient for that fox. He can smell that from hearing them pickup trucks as the wind is blowing that way. That's another thing that you want to do to your advantage. If you have direct wind that direction, you want to play that to your advantage. If this is a tractor road or a crop change, you want it on the upwind side so that when he walks down through here, he gets a whiff of this. Okay? Use the wind every chance you get. It'll blow across there, and believe me, they can smell it that far away. That much on a Q-tip. Amazing what their noses are. Okay? Okay, and then our backing, we want the backing up against the hole, hold down underneath. That forces him to this side. Got it?
You have to anchor this or not?
No. And that, I trap a lot of soybean fields, and I'll put a pile of soybean stalks together. Just break the chaff up here, and that makes a nice backing.
Now, if you're trapping rocky ground, what would you do for a dirt hole? Like, do you have any suggestions to make it easier?
Yeah, don't make dirt holes.
Yeah, don't make dirt holes.
Honestly, if you are in really rocky, shaly stuff, you're better off not trying to make dirt holes. If you can get a spot where you can dig a hole, great. But bedding and securing your trap is going to be your hardest thing to do. Okay? You're going to have to pick a spot in between the pieces of rock and in between the pieces of shale to make sure you get that trap solid. That's way more important than what type of set you make. And if all you can do is pick a spot where that trap is going to bed solid, get something odd like a 4-inch piece of log and V that into your trap and make a urine post out of that. If you can't dig, don't. You're spending too much time. You know, just use what's given to you. If that's the location, if that's where the trap belongs, it's the best spot, then make the set that works there. Don't try and screw around for 10 minutes to dig a hole.
Flat set like Andy's talking about. You talked about that with your coyote situation. Okay? Oh, no, you wanted to ask a question. The only question that
I
you
showed
couldn't
up
ask.
late. How did you secure that in there?
What?
The trap.
I didn't do anything. I didn't put a stake in or nothing.
Okay.
I didn't bring a puller along. And
Okay.
to put these anchors in, you need a puller to get them out.
Okay.
But what I would do is I would take and I would drive this right in the middle of this trap bed.
Okay.
Okay? This would go in just like so, the whole way down. And then all my chain and everything is underneath my trap. Got me? If I'm using rebar stakes, if I'm using 2 rebar stakes, I'm putting them in the bottom of this trap bed. One this way, one that way. And my trap would set on top of it. Digging cereal bowl. You got a hollow underneath that trap. And what it's doing, that's all hollow underneath here. That trap is sitting on the outsides of these jaws and on the frame and on these levers. All your weight is there. That way there's nothing blocking it. If you get it set on top of there, it's nice and solid. And all this underneath can be there out of the way.
Okay.
You with me?
Yep.
Okay. A flat set. Put this door hole back shut. Flat set is nothing more than this. Any kind of an object. Like Andy said, like a 4-inch hole, 4-inch piece of wood, something like that. We use this 1 3/4 for this, going after bigger critters. No. Okay, nice and level. If you watch your dog, any dog, when he's going to urinate on an object, he's going to walk up to it from the side, sniff, step here, and lift his leg. They step right in front of an object that they're going to urinate on. Even the females with the plumbing in the back are going to do the same thing. They're going to sniff that, turn around, and urinate on it. Okay? So they are going to step directly in front of that object. Most guys put the trap like right here. This way. What you want to do with a flat set, when you come up here, maybe I guess I
Now, would you use the same distance for a coyote set as a
Yes.
fox set? Okay,
Yes.
they both get that. Okay.
Both step up here right close to this, and they're going to urinate on this. With a flat set, if you can remember what this looked like before I started digging around here, okay? It was all grass. I'm just going to get it down. I want this again. I want this trap in that hole nice and solid. I do not want that to wiggle, okay? Nice and tight. Check it. Yep, see that wiggle? That's too much. Turn it, twist it, whatever you got to do. Make sure that trap don't give. Step on it. Yep, good. Now, we want to camouflage this so you can, that there's no disturbance whatsoever. We'll take some dry dirt, put over this trap, or peat moss, anything. Keep that from freezing. I already had some peat moss in the bottom of that from the other set. Then we'll blend it. And again, this time of year, we're mowing grass. These guys are mowing, run around that mower there and catch them. Not too much. Okay? Dry grass clippings work really, really well for doing this. This is the dry, dead stuff that would be here in trapping season. This grass would all be dead. So this would blend in, you wouldn't even know it. Dry grass clippings blend that in there. Don't get too crazy with it, because the more you get on there, when that trap goes off, it's going to grab that and pull it up in a trap. If you get real thick with that stuff, you're going to hinder yourself. Just enough to camouflage that. I'll set this trap off then and show you how much comes up with that trap. But blend that all in so you can't tell that trap's there. Now, glandula and urine on the uphill side, right on this corner, squirt your urine right on there, and you're good to go. If you have a turd, you can lay that right here. Okay? They'll sniff that, and they'll urinate, defecate on that. When we set this off, there, you see how much came up? You get too much, and it's going to hinder that trap from going shut. That's just about the right amount. Cross it. Okay? Got that?
Yeah, I have a question. Relating back to the dirt hole, I heard of guys using a paw print stamp,
Yes.
just because it looks like. Is that effective around here? Or?
It's not necessary, Caleb.
Yeah, we've done it before too. We used to carry around a fox foot, and we've done it before. You can just do that.
Okay.
Right there, you can make paw prints.
The
And you
idea
can put one right on that pan because you know where it's at. Just kind of wiggle a little bit, but you don't set it off. It does help. I don't know that it's necessary. You get that in the right location and a bait that's attractive there, you're going to have them.
having your trap in the right location in the set, and the pan being the lowest point. The way I make my dirt hole sets is a variation called a step down, where the whole trap and the whole set is actually below the natural grade about yo far.
Similar to like a trench set, kind of?
It is kind of like a trench set, a little bit. I think I'm a little unorthodox and a little sloppy in my set construction, and he'll catch 2 fox to every one that I catch, guaranteed. He's very meticulous, and he's very, regimented in doing the set the same way. The pan of the trap, if it's in the right spot, back a couple inches and off to 1 inch, as long as that's the lowest spot in your set, that's naturally where he's going to step anyway. That's the most important thing. But if you're using a good lure and your trap is bedded solid, which is the one and only golden rule in all of your set constructions, if that set is solid, you're going to allow yourself to have that fox make 2 or 3 steps if he didn't make the first step in the right spot. Okay? But if your set construction is the way it should be, that first step is the only step you need. And what he's getting ready to show you now is even more critical and more important, because cats will only give you 1 step. That's what he's going to show you.
Okay, we all want a bobcat. We'll take a coyote if he comes along. When you make a cat set, going for bobcats, you want to make a mess. You want something with all kind of eye appeal. And what Andy said, they're going to walk in here, they're going to take that bait, and they're going to get away. They're not going to fool around like a canine will. You got 1 shot to put that foot in the trap. 2 actually, forward and back. But we use a bigger trap, not because it takes that much more holding power for a cat, but you got a bigger target area. Okay? Because he's not going to step around here, he's going to walk in, sniff, take the bait, walk away, not fool around. You want to make sure you get that foot in that trap first shot. We use 3s or 4s. 4-inch, number 4 trap is 6.5-inch jaw spread, what is legal for PA. This is a 3. 4 is a little bit bigger yet. Okay? When you have ground stones in the mountains, like you can't put a stake in. Put it on a chain, on a grapple. Okay? That cat ain't going very far with that. He might be down here in this fence row, but that's about all the further you get. If you're already in the woods, there's no way you can anchor that in the woods. It just don't happen. Especially you get in the mountains, we trap up here in Stony, you can stick a stake in the ground between the rocks. It ain't gonna hold nothing. It ain't gonna hold a stake in place, let alone an animal. So you use a grapple. Okay? We're putting this, and again, cereal bowl shape. Okay? This is right before Christmas time. So we're using peat moss, a good layer of peat moss, the bottom of this, Make sure that's in there good and solid. With peat moss, if it goes underneath this pan, no big deal, because it's going to compress enough when that trap goes off. Same way, there's another product called buckwheat hulls that you can use to put in place of peat moss. It's like a waxy coating hulls off of buckwheat. Okay, does the same thing. This peat moss on there. If it's real windy, you're going to need some dry dirt on top of that. Keep that from blowing off, just enough to keep that peat moss in place. Andy was talking about a step down. That's basically what you're doing here. Here's my pan. Okay, there's my pan. Here's my jaws. Okay, I'm going to put some lumps here, guide that cat in here, make sure he goes where I want him to go.
With bobcat trapping, you can corral them into the pan of the trap.
Coyote might look at that and I'm not so sure about that, but a cat,
You're almost telling him that's where you need to step. Okay, that's what he said about doing that with canines, where that's kind of suspect, kind of jury's out kind of thing. You can make it too crowded for a coyote, and they might just stand back here and look at the set and walk away.
okay, a little bit of dry stuff over the top is really all you need. Cats aren't as suspicious. If you want to catch a coyote, I would just take a little bit of this, kind of blend that in, just to skim over top. You don't need that for cats. Actually, you don't need to cover that trap for cats if you don't want to. They'll walk into an exposed trap. Coyote, mangy one might, but if you want to catch either or, that kind of a set works. But make a mess. Cats hunt with their eyes. You got to catch their eye before you catch their foot. When we're trapping cats, we'll have a tree branch up here and we'll hang a feather on it. You're not allowed to use bones, fur, or feathers as an attractant or any artificial facsimile thereof, written right in the game book. But this, when it's in the wind like that, looks like a feather, doesn't it? It is not. That is legal. If that's on a tree branch above this set hanging, that cat's seeing that up there at that building or over around that corner. He's seeing that. You catch their eye, you'll catch their foot. You got to catch their eye before you catch their foot. And that kind of a thing, a CD disc, Christmas tinsel, anything hanging in a tree branch, flittering and fluttering like that, will get that cat right here. And from there, he's yours. Okay? Question?
Location for bobcat. Like, I heard a lot of like hemlock, tree lines, stream, where they cross roads.
Yep. All that. Deer trails, power lines.
Okay.
Power lines is where we caught quite a few of them.
If you know the location well, the tract of land well, 10-15 yards in from the power line, find a trail that's going north and south. 10-15 yards in the woods. That's the one place that we trap. That's where the cats run. There's one on the trail camera every week. Boom, 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 and he's just got a natural travel route. That's his spot. But logging roads and any type of a little draw intersection, any type of a bench. Benches are the travel route for everything on a mountain. So that's what you got to find, and you'll be able to find every now and then a toilet site for a cat. That's definitely a spot you want to set up. And then if you're out in the field for a cat, that toilet site's going to be on the one goofy tree that nobody cut down in the middle of the field. If it's near a crop change or near the edge of the property, on a hillside, there's one goofy tree sticking out there. Cats will be there investigating it because that's where the meadow voles and everything live.
A set that works for all three is set. You can put that Lancaster County, you can put that Sullivan County, Clinton County, don't matter. We're going to anchor this strap down in the ground. Put that earth anchor in right here. I'm going to wiggle this trap in. I pounded that down in so that's good and solid. And it's lower than all the rest of the ground around here. I want this trap that it doesn't wiggle. Okay, make sure it's in there good and solid. Do whatever you got to do. Pound some more if you have to. That trap is solid. Grass clippings or hay bales, straw bales. I want enough around this trap to camouflage it, but I don't want too much that it's going to clog that trap shut. And we're going to use a number 3 or a 4 just because you know you're going to pull some of this stuff up in it. The number 3 on a red fox possibly can do some damage to that foot. Okay? With the grass there, it's going to cushion those jaws against that foot more than what you think, but it's still going to have sufficient power to hold it. Okay? The rest of this
This is
good.
It's a great late season set for eye appeal, and because of the fact that most of the time the ground is frozen. This is a freeze-proof set, but it's also going to stand out. If you get a lump of that hay in the middle of nice white snow, it really stands out.
On a power line?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah, absolutely. On a power line, this is really legit.